Artificial intelligence operates as a massive macroeconomic force, irreversibly fracturing and reshaping the bedrock of our foundational institutions. Mainstream analysis often retreats into the narrow safety of computation and algorithmic alignment, missing the broader reality of the system. Treating deployment as a purely technological challenge masks the way these models change labor markets, reallocate physical resources, and shift systemic incentives. Without a macroeconomic lens, a society will misinterpret the impact of AI and lack the framework to manage its consequences. Navigating this shift requires returning to 1776, a year that provided the two essential insights for understanding our current era. That year, Adam Smith published The Wealth of Nations, detailing the foundations of economic literacy, how incentives, prices, specialization, and voluntary exchange coordinate complex societies. Simultaneously, Andrew Tyler lectured on the rise and decline of democracies, arguing that economic maturity is the only way to sustain freedom over the long term. This creates the central tension of the AI age. Technology is scaling our productive capacity exponentially, but it offers no inherent maturity in how that capacity is used. Economic literacy is the absolute prerequisite for the economic maturity required to survive and thrive in this transition. All economic systems operate under a single inescapable principle. They must function within the absolute constraint of scarcity. Artificial intelligence reallocates scarcity away from raw computation and information retrieval. In an AI-driven economy, the funnel of productivity narrows at three specific constraints: human attention, critical judgment, and institutional trust. Every automated decision carries an opportunity cost. While a task gains speed, that automation simultaneously displaces localized human learning and skill development in that area. These immediate gains in scale frequently result in long-term costs that are harder to measure, reduced human oversight, and fractured accountability. Economic literacy requires leaders to calculate what vital human capacity is being surrendered for every gain in efficiency. To understand these shifts, we must view prices and wages as information signals rather than moral judgments. These signals coordinate behavior without central command by communicating relative scarcity, consumer preferences, and productivity differences. AI interacts with this system by changing the productivity of labor and shifting the market demand for specific skills. This chart visualizes human capital theory, the idea that education, skills, and experience are productive economic investments. AI functions as a multiplier, exponentially raising the return on adaptive, transferable skills, while crashing the return on routine, non-learning tasks. When society misinterprets these wage signals, they often treat AI as a moral failing rather than recognizing a structural shift in economic incentives. Because AI accelerates compounding effects, early strategic and educational decisions become disproportionately important. The Rule of 72 serves as a proxy for maturity here. By dividing 72 by an interest rate, you approximate how long an investment takes to double. This math applies beyond financial capital to the rapid accumulation of skills, learning habits, and institutional trust. However, AI also interacts with conspicuous consumption, economic behavior motivated by status signaling and social comparison, rather than productivity. Social algorithms can weaponize these status signals, turning symbolic identity displays into reinforced metrics that drain resources away from productive growth. Without the maturity to distinguish between capacity building and status traps, individuals and societies risk draining their compounding potential into unproductive signals. We must also apply this logic to the centralized systems tasked with governing these shifts. Public choice theory, founded by James Buchanan, challenges the assumption that regulatory bodies act as neutral optimizers. Buchanan demonstrated that political actors and policymakers respond to personal incentives and constraints just like participants in a market. Using logical AI systems does not neutralize the self-interest of the humans who design the policies and set the institutional goals. When political actors use AI to optimize for their own agency's influence or re-election constraints, they reinforce existing biases. This turns a logical tool into an asymmetrical gear that jams the institutional clockwork. Since AI cannot eliminate human self-interest, the structural design of our institutions matters more than the stated good intentions of our leaders. AI increases the power of our tools faster than we are developing the maturity to manage them. In Free to Choose, Milton Friedman argued that maintaining a free society requires specific capabilities from its citizens. He maintained that economic literacy is a fundamental requirement for the general public, not just a specialized skill for experts. In the AI age, illiteracy fuels fear and leads citizens to defer their judgment to algorithms or centralized authorities. Freedom erodes the moment personal responsibility is permanently outsourced to unaccountable technological systems. Economic literacy provides the mandatory civic infrastructure required to demystify AI, manage its trade-offs, and sustain human freedom.